Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Sosband and Sidesteps podcast. Joining me, Big M, this week is Huw Griffin's grandfather. Hello, how are you?
Hello, Martin. We're all still here after the longest rugby match in the history of time and space. We've all made it. Well done, everybody. It's now Monday. The game is over. And during the game, I grew this beard. It was that long that I've gone from not being genetically able to grow a beard to grown this big, white, fluffy beard.
To be fair, it does look good. All you need is a red suit to go around in now.
Oh, if people want to see me in my red suit, they can check out the Scrum of the Earth podcast.
Really? You're going to plug someone else while we're
Well, you brought it up.
I did not!
Yes, you did.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Anyway, we have a little something to discuss this week. Are you keeping your beard on for the full show?
No, I'm going to take it off. It's really annoying.
This shows Hugh's dedication to everything outside of rugby.
Look, I've gotten the gag. The gag is out of the way. I can take it off and carry on with my serious rugby analysis.
Yeah. I'm really sorry, audio listeners. It might not hit with you guys, but it did look funny. He does look funny with a white beard. So, off the back of losing by a single point out in France against Bayonne, we returned home to the park for what I think was probably the biggest game of our season, which was Black Lion at home, a chance for revenge after last season. You know, that 23-7 loss, that was our lowest point. At least that's how I feel. So this was, like you said last week, our cup final. This was our biggest game. Like, this was the most must-win match for us this year. And I am really pleased to say it was quite comfortable in the end. You know, what was it, 36-18? Not the complete performance that we all, strive for, but, very, very, very good in parts. Bonus point win. We're now tied top of our group. I know it's top four going through, but the less said about that, the better. So, initial thoughts on the game then, seems to be Huw Griffin Jr. again. What were you thinking at the time? Come on.
Obviously, I was nervous going into the game because, as you said, it was the biggest game of the season, and I agree with you. I think that I lost to Black Lion a year ago, almost to the day, was our lowest points as a team, as a club, even. So to come back and get it done quite comfortably, I was quite happy. I was quite nervous for a lot of it. I was impressed with Black Lion in parts. I thought they played in parts better in this game than they did last year. And the like proper team, I was having a look there. There's about half of the team that started against Italy for Georgia was playing against us in this game. So yeah, so comfortable enough. Obviously, like I alluded to, a 2 hour and 7 minute long game, including half time. And there wasn't much flow to it either. It was extremely stop starts, but I do think that we were pretty comfortable. All games, what the team that loses will have a purple patch, and Black Lion did have a purple patch in the second half, but we weathered it. We came through it, and we saw out the victory. We were never losing the game. I think we were always a score ahead. And yeah, like you said, it wasn't perfect, but we'll talk about the stats a bit later. There are some really good stats, and it is the most points that we've scored in a game so far this season. So there's not much to grumble about. That's what at the park, 3 in a row at the park.
Yes, exactly. Realistically, we should be 5 in a row. We should be undefeated this season, especially at home. But we don't really want to go back over old grounds, as they say. So, where do you want to start? Because there's many places we can start in this game.
Yeah, lots to talk about. I think firstly, I just want to mention Benji's vlog. Shout out Benji, new member of the Sosband and Sidesteps family. He'll be back on the podcast at some point, no doubt. Did a vlog for us, so he joined us to be our person in the park, our man on the ground, going into the park, filming a bit for us. If you want to check out what he films, you can find it either on the TikTok or you can find it on the Twitter. It's a 2 minute long video showing just what he got up to on his trip to the park. It's gone down really well. It's been really popular. It's probably the most popular match day experience that we've posted. So well done, Benji. And I've done one too, mate. I've done one too, and it's
Oh,
better
you
than
just
that.
stabbed me in the heart with that one. Oh my God.
It's gone down.
Mark at the park, no more. Oh,
Someone literally quote tweeted it and said thank you. Like that's how popular it was. So yeah, so check that out if you haven't already. John Daniels from the Scarlets retweeted it as well. So congrats, Benji. And yeah, so in terms of where to start, the narrative, at least according to the co-commentator, was the scrums. So I know this is your favorite thing, and it makes sense. We start at the front, 100% scrum success. We chatted ahead of the game because we said about the replacement front row. We'd seen them struggle in this season up until now, but by the end of the game, we were opting for the scrum from penalties. So take us through it. Is your area of speciality, mate? What did you make of the scrum battle in this game?
yeah. So first half, and obviously leading into those substitutes, it was amazing. I mean, it can't be undervalued how strong a scrummager Henry Thomas is, and I can say the exact same thing for Kemsey Mathias. They are both solid rocks, and having someone the shape and size of Marnus in between you, it helps massively. It just gives you that wider base to really hold on and stay firm. It means that there's less separation where your second rows come in between you. When you've got a skinnier sort of hooker, if you could say Sean Evans compared to Marnus, he's a lot narrower. So when you've got large second rows, which they generally are, it creates that sort of separation between your hooker and your props. But when you've got someone that large, just to hold you in, first rule of the scrum, stay tight. It's a simple rule. If you look at bowling, you've got 10 pins separated, you can knock them all down. You stick them all together, they're a hell of a lot harder to move. It's the same principle with a scrum. So I was really impressed in that first half. On our own ball, we were holding it solid, and when it was theirs, we were attacking. There weren't that many of their feeds in the first half, if I'm remembering correctly, which my memory does it does betray me from time to time. But yeah, we did chase and we did push them back, which was brilliant. Leading into that second half, then like we said, we have discussed this replacement front row. I'm not sold on Alec Hepburn. I'm really not, which is unfortunate. He's coming here with quite a good pedigree, and he's just not. I think we brought in him thinking he was going to be first choice. I think that was, the thinking behind him, but he's clearly not. Kemsley is a superior scrummager. He's superior off the ball as well. Kemsley is brilliant at handling, brilliant tackling, defensively, hitting rucks. He's awesome. I love Kemsley. Future lion in my eyes, to be honest. Yeah, Sean Evans, we know he's capable, but he needs solid people around him. And then Archie Hughes in his second game. I think this was more Archie Hughes' intelligence at the scrum more than anything, because you could see him talking to the ref, you could see him talking to the linesman, and it was really, really clear and obvious that the Black Lion Lucid kept angling in. I don't know what Archer was doing. I don't know if this was a case of him doing something to push him out or just the way the Black Lion Lucid was scrummaging. But he knew what was happening. He made it very clear, and we won a load of penalties from it. So, fair play to the boys, 100% scrum success. You can't really complain when you have that sort of solid base to play from, and that extends into the line out as well. Now, I know we did lose a line out in this game, which is very uncharacteristic, especially with Marnus throwing in.
Yeah, but we stole like 3, so we're still like +2.
Yeah, we are in the positives. But yeah, it's uncommon, I'd say, in probably the last 4 or 5 years, probably not 5, to say that the Scarlets have had a strong forward base, but we really have got that this year. And it is gutting what's happened with both Harry O'Connor and Sam Wainwright. They're both out. But we do have, solid deputies. Like I'm really excited by Sam O'Connor coming through. watching him in the loose, especially, he's brilliant. He can power through people, which is, you know, it's lovely. It's what you want to see from your number 8, you know, and he's more than capable of doing it. Haven't seen enough of his scrummaging yet to really determine if I'm going to be a massive fan or just a casual fan, but it's looking positive on that front. So, what was Hugh's take on the scrum battle then? You know,
Obviously, I don't have the kind of expertise on it. It just looked very solid. Obviously, you know, those Georgian props were massive. And I thought in the first half it was a good battle, as it was kind of like fresh props against fresh props and first choices against first choices. Going into the second half, as you rightly say, you know, towards the end when we had a replacement front row on, it was very drastic the way that the scrum was kind of wheeling and moving around and things. I saw that Archer as well was complaining a lot with like he was, I don't know what's the word, headbutting. I don't know what the actual scrum term is, but he was making it clear that he couldn't get his head in between their hooker and loose heads. Yeah, so obviously in the first half it seemed like a good battle. It was, you know, fresh tight head props and against fresh tight head props. They had to make a substitution quite early on with one of their props going off injured, but you know, they had some big men, and I thought it was quite tight. I thought it was quite stable, scrummaging the first half. In the second half, it kind of wasn't so stable. I really noticed how, particularly when we had a replacement front row on, it was moving around a lot. It was wheeling. It was kind of driving across, as you say, when we were getting the penalties. I did notice Archer Holtz was, I don't know what you call it, but it was like headbutting. Like he couldn't get his head in between their loose head and their hooker. So he was trying really making a big show of how he wasn't happy with that. Now that didn't really get noticed by the ref, but it got the result, didn't it? So yeah, I think, you know, obviously the Archer's now 2 games in, both off the bench. So better signs in this game than the last one. But yeah, like you said, 100% can't complain.
Can't complain, can't complain. Okay, line out was really tasty, and I mean really tasty. We made quite a few set plays off the back of it. One I believe you've highlighted, which
Yes, bear with me, bear with me. I'll find it now. Um, I did notice we're quite quick when we score driving mauls. We get over fast. It does. There's not a lot of like heaving and stop once with our driving mauls, is there? It's kind of like we're over. Like with the
okay,
ball, it's up and down and it's over.
yeah, this is something that I've noticed, especially because of McLeod being there. Obviously, line jumper goes up, takes the ball, comes down. You transfer it to your first man. Now, usually they'll end up going back again to the hooker, and that's where you normally get to see your stop start. By keeping it with McLeod, I think we're using it as if we don't get our initial shove on from the start, he can split and go and avoid that truck and trailer, that infringement, that penalty, because he's that first man. He's going to be the first one hitting contact. So I think it's quite a smart play from Albert Vandenberg to try and keep it with him. I know you do see Marnus trying to rip it back, but it is quite smart when you know that you're either going to go fast and get over, or you're going to want to split more or less within the first second or two. So trying to avoid truck and trailer when that ball is at the back is damn near impossible if you're gonna split off. So it's really clever. I do like it. I do feel for Marnus, or they should have given him one of those tries. It just weren't fair, was
And
it?
Josh McLeod has now 5 tries in his last 4 games.
I know he's really chasing Cowdo down, isn't he?
Yeah, he might be our top try scorer now. Obviously, Cowdo got another one in this
I
game. Um, so the move that I kind of want to highlight in terms of a sort of open play move. So this is one for YouTube. So I've got the clip up here. So this is in the second half. We've got a line now mid-ish way between their 10 meter and their 22. And what they're going to do is they're going to throw the ball over the top. So they set it. It's very convincing. Someone jumps, but it goes over the top to Eddie James. Eddie James is wearing 23 here. So Eddie James, you can see, is already turned. So you would normally think if Eddie James is getting the ball off a line out, he's crashing it up. He doesn't do that. He's out the back of the door pass to Costello. We'll talk a bit more about Costello in a minute. I thought he had a fantastic game. So
yeah
he gets the ball here. and he's running sideways now. So this is something we've spoken about a lot on the pod is the Scarlets are happy to run sideways in order to get those mismatches in order to run towards the space. So they do that here. Now, for me, the ball's gone out the back right. Joe Roberts could do a little bit more to sell it here for me. If you just look at his body language, he never puts his hands up to receive it. He's running the line and he's kind of fixing the man. And Sam Costello's looking at Joe. If you look at Sam Costello's eyes, he's looking at Joe and passing out the back. So it's the eyes of disguise. But for me, Joe doesn't quite sell it enough. Don't know about you,
Yeah,
Mark.
I get what you're saying, but also the line he has picked is beautiful. If his hands are there, and Sammy has obviously looked at when we see the bigger picture, that ball goes to Joe. I think Joe has a straight line through, but we'll keep on going because it's a beautiful pass in behind as well.
Yeah, so it goes in behind. So this is the interesting one. So now it's gone to Gareth Davis. Take my word for it. That's Gareth Davis. It's a bit blurry where I paused it. So this is quite, I've spoken on this pod to my own amusement at times about how there's things that I recognize from watching teams like Toulouse. And you can imagine Toulouse running a move like this, right? With bringing, in their case, it would be Dupont on to be that extra playmaker. So by going over the top straight to Eddie James, it means that Gareth Davis is in the back line to be, I almost want to call him an extra back. I know a scrum half is a back already, but he's not there servicing a ruck or anything. He's an extra playmaker. He's an extra distributor, which is a trend we've seen off our starter plays, is to rather than, tying the 9 down to being the one who receives the ball off the line out and passes it, does the first pass. We've been getting someone else to do that and letting the 9 come in later on in the move to create an extra man, essentially. We're essentially a man up in the backs, or at least with parity in the backs. So Cowdell then has it now, and he's now running an arc. Now, if I've paused it there, there's a lot of options here. So we've created a lot. You can see that Black Lion's kind of line is gone. This is their last man, their fullback, the blonde-haired guy. There's no one to the left of him. And you can see that there's big spaces either side of the defenders on the inside. Now, this is where it goes a little bit wrong. So it's a really interesting move that I think is really creative, and a lot of credit to the coaches for coming up with it. But it goes a bit wrong here. So if I play it on a bit, Tom Rogers, you can now see him in the bottom down corner down here, is in space, right? If he gets that ball now, and you'd like to think that Cowdell's capable of making that pass,
Yeah,
he's just got to beat their fullback in the corner. And he's a winger. You would back a winger to finish that, or at least get close to finishing that. Also, the option, I know this is the one that you've mentioned, Mart, is so the ball goes to Nicholas. And it's funny, you mentioned about Joe Roberts before. Joe Roberts is here, look. He's already in behind the Black Lion line. So Huw and Nicholas gets the ball. Huw and Nicholas for me he's too close to Gareth Davis, and he's also behind him. So this kind of kills the momentum now. So I think it's partially on Huw and Nicholas not being in the right place. I also think it's kind of Gareth Davis picking the wrong option. I don't think he should pass it to Huw and Nicholas. But as you said, Mark, there's now an option on here for Huw and Nicholas to go cut back on the inside, to step off his right foot and go inside. And there is a bit of a gap there. And even if he doesn't get through it, because it's likely that this tackler probably does get him, you're in the middle of the pitch. So you're in a great place to continue the attack. As it happens, Huw and Nicholas keeps going to the wing, does get it to Tom Rogers in the end. By now, the Georgians have covered. What I do like about this is Nicholas and Joe Roberts do come in. So Cowdell, you might expect in this situation, he would come in to do the clear out himself. He doesn't. He doesn't even think about it. He just stands there, waits for the other two to clear out, and then they play on. Now, Josh McLeod comes off a hard line, knocks the ball on, and that's the end of the move. We lost the ball. But I did want to pick it out because it stood out to me as one of our more interesting plays. If I just run it through the whole time through, and it's interesting. I think it's a really great example of the kind of things that we're trying to do. You can see how that pass from Gareth Davis to Nicholas kind of kills it. But
yeah, I mean, at the same time, I think Huw and Nicholas has run the wrong line there. I think he should have been cutting back in earlier for just a switch with Cowdell. But something we saw in the first half was Ellis Mee take an inside ball off the back of a line out, and he made some good yards close to the try line. And when we look at that line out there, Ellis Mee was on an inside line as well. So knowing the damage he'd caused early in the first half, they had eyes on him, which made more space again for Sammy to carry on and run through. So that's a developing play. That's not one that we would use first off. We went through the motions of putting Ellis Me into space to create that doubt in Black Lions defenders, knowing, okay, they've given this man the ball off the back of a line out and he's created some damage. We need to keep an eye on him. And that in itself has created more space further down in the match. So it's all about progression and how you play the game, how you want to build it step by step. So it is really beautiful to watch, and I'm enjoying. This is the one thing I called for, even last season when we were down in the dumps. I want to see us try. It's the same thing with Wales. I want to see us try things, even if they don't come off. That move didn't come off, but it was excellent to see. It was brilliant to watch. It was exciting. It was entertaining. This is the type of rugby I think people enjoy watching more than anything else. If you're not going to win, be entertaining. But we won as well, which is great.
Yeah. So I'll just go into the stats there, because obviously this is our biggest win of the season in terms of points scored, and I think that's reflected in the stats. So the possession map, which is one of my favorite stats, which I'm showing on the screen now, kind of, you might think like, oh, well, it's a bit not very much in their half, but it tells a bit of a lie the way that the graphic is laid out, because we've actually got 57% of our possession in their half, which is something that we see a lot when Costello plays 10, is we play in the opposition's half a lot. Interestingly, in this game, Gareth Davis is the top kicker from hand in the URC so far. He only kicked 4 times in this game. Sam Costello was the main kicker. We kicked off 10 in this game, which again is probably horses for courses. So when Sam's in the team, he's obviously your traditional 10 compared to Huw and Lloyd, is a bit more unorthodox, and maybe plays him. Also, interestingly, Joe Roberts kicked 3 times in this game. Now, his kicks went a bit wrong. I think 2 of them went out on the full, but he's obviously a left-footed kicking option. So that's obviously something that they've consciously gone as well. Okay, Joe, in certain areas of the pitch, you're kicking off the left foot. Blair Murray's also left-footed. So for us to have 2 left-footed kicking options potentially in the team is great. That's good selection. That's good recruitment.
It's what we've had for years with with Foxy and Steph Evans. Both left footers, both can boot the ball. Is one of the things we always love to talk about. Steph is the amount of time he kicks the ball away. But yeah, having those options is brilliant.
It probably helps Joe Roberts defensively as well, because I was talking to a coach who said that most tries are scored on the left wing in rugby because people are right-handed and right-footed. So they're obviously passing right to left. That's your stronger hand doing the pass. And also you're stepping off your right foot. But if you're left-footed and you're defending that way, you're actually, in order to make the defensive action, if you think from a defender's point of view, you're going left to right. If you're left-footed, you're stepping off your stronger foot. So that's probably helps Joe Roberts defensively when he's making up that space as well. So it's, just little details like that I find quite interesting. Are you still with me, Mark?
Yeah, you'll love my take on second rows in the scrum then, if you like in opposite-footed players.
All right, we'll come to that in a second though. So carry on with these stats. So Black Line, I nearly called them Georgia there. Black Line had the better of the possession stats and the territory stats. I think we've learned that the Scarlets are a team that like to play without the ball, or not like to play without the ball, but are comfortable going long spells of the game not in possession. And then, set plays, like we said, 100% scrum win, 94% line out win, but in real terms, that's 1 line out loss. So wouldn't worry about that. More importantly, we limited them to 76% line out win, which I think is a win for us. It wasn't just a case of them losing, like messing up their throws. We were taking line outs off them. Also, I don't know how 60% of 6 works, but we took at least 2 scrums off them. Take my word for it. Attack. Now, I'll come back to the attack in a moment. Turnovers. So a bit of a negative. We've conceded 20 turnovers in this game. It's too many. We need to tidy that up now. We'll talk about what may have contributed to that in a minute, but let's just say it was a bit of a free-for-all out there at times. 15 penalties conceded, same as Black Line. I think it helps that, let's be real about it. Black Line had a bit of a discipline explosion at times in this game.
Oh, yeah.
So that helped us, it just did. Defense, 87% tackle success. Normal, nothing to write home about. Total kicks, 19. Now, that is low for us. That is low for us this season. Obviously, last season, that would have been normal. This season, that is a low figure for us. Now, I think that comes down to where the action areas ended up being. So I'll just take you to some of the kind of more interesting attacking stats now as the final bit. So,
Oh, graphs.
yeah, so we ended up with 8 line breaks and 1322 entries. They're as high as we've been all season. So you would expect that, arguably a lower level of opposition that we'd come up against in the URC. We scored a lot of points. We've got good attacking stats. It all lines up. 98 carries, so less carries than them, with 185 post-contact meters. So over 2 meters, 2 meters ish per carry. Not amazing, nothing to write home about, pretty normal. What's interesting though is 65% of our rucks under 3 seconds, so fast ruck speed, and
Well done.
only 59 rucks in the whole game, which is low. For people who don't count rucks, anything less than 75 rucks in a game is on the low side. Black Lion have had 90 rucks, we've had 59. And for those 59 rucks, we had 147 passes. So as a rule of thumb,
3-1.
any anything more than kind of 1.6 passes per ruck is like high. Like New Zealand in the Rugby Championship were on 1.9 passes per ruck, and they're known as a team that passes it a lot. So we are well over, we're getting on for 2.5 passes per ruck. So this is something we spoke about on this podcast before. We're not interested in phase play. If you think about the Irish game plan of uh, phase after phase after phase, grinding teams down long periods of possession, you're not going to see that from the Scarlets. Now we are capable of doing long periods of possession. If you think to our try against Glasgow was 20 phases, but that was all like in their 22. We're not going to do that from a long way out. That's not what we do. So yeah, that's just a feature of our game is that we're happy to have long phases without the ball. We're happy to keep the ball alive, pass it wing to wing without many rucks. So that's kind of how we play. And I think the stats in this game kind of reinforced, and the clips that I've shown reinforced a lot of what we've spoken about on this pod this season so far.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can really say that we are the opposite of the Irish model, but with the same goal, where they look to tire bodies out with physical contact. We look to tire them out by constant movement. And
Yeah,
no, I
that's
think
what
I think
Argentina do.
I think that's something we should really be praising Shane Carney for at the minute, because he is our head of conditioning, whatever athletic performance. I think the actual role is called, but we are more than happy to shift the ball around and try and beat players one on one, try and make space, which again boils down to an exciting way to play the game. We can watch all the Champions Cup finals, semi-finals, blah blah blah, with Leinster, etc. And it does get repetitive. Yeah, you get the odd bit of magic, which is nice, but you kind of know what you're gonna get. I mean, at least with this card, you know we're gonna run, but you don't know where we're gonna run. You don't know where we're gonna pass. You don't know what we're gonna try. And I think this game was massive for that, because you saw quite a few new moves that we haven't seen previously.
Yeah, I want to hear your footed thing on the scrum before we move on to talking about star players.
Oh, basically, obviously, you've got a left lock and a right lock, a loose, a tight, or whatever you want to call them. So when you're setting up, obviously, you've got your front row in there, your second row's coming in. And obviously, as you were setting up for that engage, everyone pushes off together. So more often than not, you'll have one foot in front of the other going in. They want you to try and be square, but very rarely happens. So if both of you are locks or right-footed, they're going to be predominantly pushing through their right foot of their body. So all that power is coming through the right side. So both of them are going to be pushing in the same direction. So if you've got, I want to say the number 5, the right side is a right footer, and your number 4 on the left is a left footer. That power is pushing together through the middle. It's just a balance thing that I learned through play. I think it was youth rugby when I first was really told that is something to really look for. When we did eventually find someone who was left-footed, you can feel the difference. Like it's not strength, it's no weight. It's just where that power is coming from. If you've got one left-footed lock and one right-footed lock, you just put them in the right position, and the natural flow just comes straight through you. It's really nice. It's like you said. There's little things in the scrum that really make the difference. It's not weight. Weight helps, but it's not a massive contributor. Strength as well. There's only so much strength you can have, and then an extra 5, 10 kilos on a bench press or squat, whatever. It makes minimal difference. It's all about getting your techniques and the mechanisms of the scrum working together. So, and that's we're talking about where they say squeezing in, having less gaps in between players. Having same height of front row as well. If you can get a front row that's within 2 or 3 inches of each other all the way across the board, helps massively. It is unreal. Even if when I was playing youth, I'm 5'8", so I like playing tight. Our hooker was 5'6", but our loose head for most of the season was 6'3". So it was me and him, and then it was like that. So he was huge. He was like 23 stone. He was an absolute beast. Tiny, his name was, as you'd expect. But going into that scrum, it never feels quite right, and you're always up against it at that angle, and it never looks right. We brought in a smaller guy, literally weighed about 13 stone. He'd only played, I think, only a season, but having that alignment in that front row, it helped massively. And no disrespect to Tiny, he was a brilliant bloody player, but you can find places for players, especially at that age. Because we had a massive lock as well. It was basically the same size as him, but he preferred playing behind. He didn't like it up in the front row. So you just shift players around, which is brilliant, and what you can do at youth level. You can at club level, senior, but you won't see it as much. In the professional game. I know we have number 8s converting to hookers or even props even, but it's something. It's just another one of them things that you can look at especially when you're recruiting. You look at the physical profile of what you've got, what will work well with that. Same as it's why I don't think we've seen a lot of Will Davis King with Cardiff. He is such a huge man compared to the others. When Rhys Carey was here, absolutely perfect because you had 2 really tall props. But now he's got no one opposite him that's even close in height. And if you're starting Liam Belcher, it just adds to that. So yeah, there's just a lot of little mechanisms that can work for you. You can make it work.
I know you like scrums, Martin, but this is the Scarlets podcast, for God's sake, and there's quite a lot of scrum talk for the Scarlets podcast.
You asked.
I know,
because
I am interested, but I've got an identity crisis going on here. Let's talk about some flashy backs then. So players who had good games. Johnny Williams is in career best form, as far as I'm concerned. Excellent player. Obviously, we're a couple of eyebrows raised when Eddie was on the bench and Johnny started, because obviously Eddie and Joe is kind of the future and things, but Johnny got his try just doing what he does. I thought he was great in this game. Like I said, career best form. Who else played well in the backs? I thought there's one guy who we'll talk about who I'll come on to in a second. Sam Costello, I thought was fantastic in this game. He had a great game. He was the coolest head out there. It was a very hot-headed game from both sides at times, but he was the one who kept his composure the whole time. He got 5 out of his 6 kicks, and he got a lot of touches, and he engaged the line a bit more in this game. He's looked a bit, not slow, but he's looked a bit hesitant ball in hands lately, and there was none of that in this game. He looked a lot better. So it was good to see him close to his best in this game, I think, for me.
Yeah, 100%. I really enjoyed watching Sammy in this one. I literally was watching the game. I think it must have been around the hour mark, and I was just looking because the camera paused to him, just playing as he does, and the way he's just screaming. He is a general of a 10, and I see that side. I see that side of him coming back. I will openly say Sam Costello has not played close to 100% since the back end of the 22-23 season. And I think right now we're seeing signs of that player coming back, which is amazing. And people for some reason, people get their backs up about 10s in Wales, which, we've all got a bad history of. So I'm looking forward to him, showing those people what he's capable of again. And I have to
Yeah.
say the word again because he's already done it more than once. But yeah, I think is the other player you wanted to come on to was it Ellis May maybe?
It was. I just want to quickly shout out Marnus van der Merwe signing of the season. Sensational player. And well, I'll mention my other player in a minute, but Ellis Mee. Let's go to Ellis Mee then. So I got his stats by year. 80 minutes, 89 meters. So for people watching on YouTube, I signify when they were top for the team with a little medal. See?
Gold medal.
And you can see that he's got quite a lot of medals next to his stats. So 80 minutes, 89 meters, which is the most of anyone in the game. 10 carries, surprisingly not, but we said we like to play without the ball, so that means you're not going to see crazy high carry numbers for players. 10 carries, 7 passes, 5 defenders beaten, most in the game, 2 line breaks, most in the game, 2 offloads, most in the game, a try assist, 0 turnovers conceded, 0 penalties conceded, also 0 tackles attempted, according to Rugby Pass's stats. Now, if you did attempt one, Ellis, I'm sorry, it's not my fault. The tackle counter on Rugby Pass said that you didn't, but I'm not mad. You see that in games. Willie LaRue has games where he doesn't attempt to tackle. Tom Wright plays for Australia. He had a game where he didn't attempt to tackle not long ago. So, yeah, I'm not upset about that, but he's been slowly building. I've got a little line break that he had here. He's been slowly building throughout the year, Mark. I noticed it in preseason. I called it early, and I said, "This kid's a good player, And this is his best game so far.
It really is. Like, he started the first URC game of the season, and he went really well. And we all on here at least thought he didn't deserve to be dropped to the bench for that second game. Obviously, he didn't get as much minutes then, but we've seen him sporadically then with the Drovers, and it had to be a television match where he literally just tore through everything. He was an absolute machine, down at SRC level. So it was just a matter of time until he got his opportunity, and with Blair, needing a bit of a rest. Obviously, Tommy Lewis and Steph Evans both, on the injured list. The time came for him, and he's grabbing it with both hands. So fair play to the lad. I mean, I know we've talked about Peely in the past, saying we wouldn't want to be in his shoes, on the negative side. I wouldn't want to be in his shoes when Tommy Lewis and Steph Evans are back fit, and Blair Murray, because that's going to be one awkward conversation every single week. Tommy Lewis was absolutely outstanding, and that's not an understatement. Going off the back of last season before he picked up that injury, we did get to see his face on TV when Josh McLeod was giving Sarah a game. So it was nice to see the mug again. Just means he's in and about. Hopefully, we'll see him within the next month or so. My fingers are really crossed for Tommy.
The thing that Ellis Mee has got is height. He's taller. He's our tallest, certainly back three player, and that helps, particularly if his long-term future is at fullback. Then that is a point of difference, and you can't coach someone to be 7 feet tall or however tall he is. And someone said, like, oh, he could do with putting a bit of muscle on. If he bulks and is that tall, he's going to be an absolute freak back there.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Eddie James. I feel like people look at him and they go, well, he's quite skinny considering he's 6'4" or whatever it is. Bulking up backs is massively different to bulking up forwards. There's too much that you risk when you bulk up a back. You need to. You got to keep the top end speed. You got to keep the agility.
Yeah, Lee Halfpenny's a good example of that. When he bulked up, he lost his speed.
Yeah, same as the acceleration. There are so many little things that make backs absolutely amazing that when you bulk them up, you take it away. So he is only 21 or 22. So he is only now coming into that sort of man strength. So you will see his muscle, build slowly over the coming year or two. So he is going to naturally get a little bit bigger. It just depends on what sort of strength and conditioning program they put him on. If he does bulk up, then by God, like you said, that's going to be a very dangerous player, But he doesn't have South Sea Island genetics. From what I'm told, he's got Cunnan Valley genetics. In
Oh,
the
is
Rhondda.
he? Is he? I thought he was. Is he Welsh? I thought he was English.
I've been told he's got family in over in the Cunnan Valley up in Aberdeen. So yeah, that if that's true, then I think he has come through the Exiles program. So we will have to
Okay.
obviously and confirm everything.
Every time he
But
does something, by the way, Nottingham quote tweet it and say, "Look at our boy."
yeah, they do. Fair play to them. Like I saw a few of them over the last couple of days. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's something that's amazing to see as well. Former clubs, especially when they're not, you know, I don't want to say but they're not a professional team. They're like, we helped make this player, show him to the world, show him what we can do. And I think that's something that all the clubs in and around Wales should really be doing with the regions, going, we help build these players till they're like 14, 15 years old, and that's when you slowly take over. People should be more proud of their players, and I want to see more of it. This is why I love it when we have our under 18s, under 16 squad. I love seeing the clubs listed next to the players' names. I think, and it's that the origin day, the sock day of the season. I love those. It really puts the clubs at the forefront, because that's where everything comes from. Is where it stems from. From under sevens all the way through to whenever a professional region or even an SRC club takes hold of you. It's
Yeah.
it's brilliant. I love
I've
my
just
club.
found a new feature of Zoom.
Oh, is this going to be like this again, where I start doing random things in my hands and
No, look.
fireworks?
Can you see? What can you see now? Am I like in front of the stats?
No, you're next to them.
It's not okay. That might look weird on the YouTube. Anyway, so I was just going to show.
Screen's
So
going fine.
for for God's sake, so the final player that I want to talk about is Captain Josh.
Whoop,
Like we
whoop.
said, 5 tries in 4 games, 80 minutes, 32 meters made. Top tackler again. I think he was the top tackler in the Challenge Cup full stop this weekend with 24 successful out of 27 attempts, which is mad. Anything higher than 20 is a lot. Anything higher than 25 is incredible.
Jack Price, boy.
Yep. 6 carries, 5 passes, 2 tries, as we said, 2 dominant hits, 1 line break, 1 turnover, and 1 line out take. And of course, he got man of the match. And here's a good angle of one of his tries. Just a quick word on the impacts that he's made this season since he's been actually available.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I think we spoke last week or the week before. He drives everything, and there's a reason he's been picked as club captain for the last few years. And obviously, injuries have held him back. Obviously, but he organizes everything defensively with the forwards, which you can see takes a massive strain off of Sam and the backs, or I should say, Johan Lloyd, Cowdo. They're the ones who have been there for most of last season as well. He is a brilliant player. There's he should be involved with Wales. He really should. He is that type of hard working player that we really crave for in the back row. He does absolutely everything. He is a 6, 7, 8. He's a total package. He can do everything. So yeah, the Monaco man he is brilliant. There's no other words to really describe him outside of that category.
Yeah.
If we could have 8 Josh McLeods in our front row, in our pack, I think they'd all do a massive job.
That would be a good pack. One thing that we need to address, and we kind of jokes about at the beginning of the show, was the 2 hour, 7 minute long game. And at times, the game did devolve into a bit of a shambles at moments. Unfortunately, we got to mention that the referee for both sides, I don't think he affected the result, but for both sides, I think the referee had a tricky day at the office.
Yeah. Oh, Christ. There's just so many issues. If we just look at it from our side, I mean, I feel as though we were denied 2 tries. I don't see nothing wrong with the Fifita solo effort, and I think the Johan Nicholas incident should have been a penalty try. He says on the shoulder, yeah, if your arm goes over the shoulder, that's called a seatbelt tackle, and you get penalised for it. So it's a weird one. But then the amount of times they went to the TMO for silly things,
And
well, not for silly things, but the time they were taking with them.
yeah, it was
So,
taking a ridiculous number of replays for them to,
yeah,
come to a decision when it was like quite clear. And it was literally just watching the same replay over and over and over. And like,
what are we looking for?
yeah. And it's annoying when referees do that. Like I think Dave Rogers, who by the way had a great game as commentator,
Love
said
Dave.
it, said it on the, said it on the comms is once you've gone to the screen, you better find something. And I think it got to that for a few moments. There was a period of like 2 minutes, like or 3 minutes at half time, like at the end of the first half, where it was just a free for all. It was just chaos out there. There was
Yeah,
the breakdown was the Wild West. There was no control, and it was the same for both teams. So I'm not complaining that we were done harshly by. There was hands going in there. There was people having two goes at it. There was people like the ball going out, then going back in again. Like there were some line breaks that came after penalties that absolutely should have been given but weren't. Yeah, so it was and like we love rugby, but watching the same rugby match for over 2 hours, it's something should have clicked. That something had gone a bit wrong.
yeah. I mean, I was kind of lucky on this front. Now I know I celebrated last week because I thought my daughter's birthday party was the day before. It appears that my mind was right all along. The party was the same time as the game, so I actually had to watch it back afterwards, and I skipped a lot of the stoppages. So it didn't feel quite like that to me. Obviously, when you have that option, but watching it live, being in that ground, it really couldn't have been an overly enjoyable experience. I mean, most rugby games you'd expect around an hour 45 from kickoff to final whistle. The odd hour 50, hour 55 doesn't matter. But once you hit that 2 hour mark, you're like, what's going on? But yeah, unless you've had a massive injury in the field, which is then totally understandable, and I've seen people on social media, mourn about the start of the game where one of their players went down and obviously play carried on. Well, your play does carry on unless you come near that player or the doctors indicate to the ref that this is serious. It's just it's just how the game works. So yeah, lots of issues with the ref on both sides. I think I'm quite surprised there was only the one red card in the end. I wouldn't have been surprised to have seen a couple more on both of our sides, just based on the flow of the game and the flow of the ref. But yeah, I believe he's quite inexperienced at this level. I think his first game might have actually been last week. So everyone has off days. Like I've said, I'm not 100% convinced with certain props at the club. It's still incredibly early days, and it's still incredibly early days in this guy's refereeing career. So there's no need to go calling for his neck.
Well, without going in on him, we do need to because it's gone a bit off on social media. The Fifita Try. So first, Fifita is good. Have we mentioned that on the podcast before?
Don't think so. Fifita is immense.
Yeah, we should talk about him more. But yeah, so Fifita scores one of the greatest tries I've ever seen in my life. And gets it chalked off. So I'll just run it through once. So this gets chalked off for Tom Rogers, an obstruction by there. So this has caused a bit of debate. So firstly, let's take it blow by blow. So the first thing that people are saying is that Fifita should have been penalised for jumping the tackle.
No, he's not jumping over a player. That's completely different.
Yeah,
In my eyes and in my interpretation of the law, he's not jumping over the player in front of him. He's not
yeah,
jumping into a player in front of him.
yeah. It's not that you're not allowed to jump. It's not you're not allowed to jump over someone. And it's a grey area of a rule anyway. The intent of that rule is if someone's like bent in front of you
Going
to
really
make a
low.
traditional tackle, you're not allowed to hurdle them like a leapfrog. That's the intent of that rule. So for me, play on this one. Then further comes up, the number 11 comes over to tackle him, tries to tackle him with an arm, with his arm, and Fifita says, "Thanks for coming, see you later." So this
I've
is
got to say, are you able to rewind that a second?
yeah,
So can we just pause it just where it was, if it'll go, just as he comes in?
yeah.
there. That is absolutely perfect tackle technique. He has done everything right. He has gone low. He's got his head in the right position, which amazingly a lot of professionals can't do 100% of the time, or even 80% of the time, we should say. He probably could have, positioned his legs a bit better to push himself into it, but I want to emphasize how good Black Lion are here, and technically they are a very, very good team. It's just like Dick Cockrell said, constantly they need a better platform. They need a better league to play in to really drive these standards. Because say that boy had been playing in the URC for 2 seasons, I think he makes that tackle, no doubt.
So Fifita says, see you later. So this is the thing. So this is the moment. So this is what the try gets chalked off for, is for this obstruction. So I can kind of see it and I can kind of not. So Fifita has pushed Tom Rogers into the Georgian player. So I can see why it's given as obstruction. I can see it. But the reason that Tom Rogers is there in the first place, you can just see the arm here, is that he gets shoved off the ball by the Georgian defender, by the guy who ends up getting obstructed. So that's the whole reason that he's there. Now, some people have said that if you're not in front of someone, you can't have been obstructive. And Tom Rogers, you could say, is just running his line here. And like I said, he's been shoved off the ball. So you could argue that it's a penalty to the Scarlets for an off the ball tackle.
Okay. My view on this is Tom Rogers is always behind Fifita, so that's the first one. Secondly, you can be behind someone and block. It's called running the block in line. As we're seeing more and more of it, where the way they're trying to open up the pathways to the fullbacks. His eyes never go back. His line doesn't change because of his own actions. For that reason, there is no block there. He's being shoved into Fifita. It's just a colliding of players. That's literally it. There is nothing in there. I really can't see how this was chalked off.
It's also the fact that Fifita almost doesn't help it, because he does think to himself, well, I'm beating all of the Black Lion teams, so I might as well beat a few Scarlets while I'm at it. And he does shove Tom out of the way, which maybe makes it look a bit worse. And then the fullback comes across and Fifita says, thanks for coming, I'll see you later as well. And then the try gets chalked off and gets pulled back. So
he does score it, doesn't he? He does.
Yeah, he taps it down.
Yeah, we'll keep it on the highlights reel. End of.
Yeah.
Same as Blair Murray's got a couple extra tries this season. Ellis Mee's got an extra one. That's something we need to talk about as well. We are becoming more and more adept at holding the ball up over the line.
Yeah, 2 more hold-ups in this game.
God. This isn't luck. People call it. It's not. This is a tactic. This is what we do in training. We are training hard on holding our ball up over the line, and by God, we're doing it well.
All right, then. I think we've talked about that game to death. One player that I do want to mention, though, friend of the podcast, getting his first ever try for the Scarlets, Archie the Falcon Hughes.
Archie!
Ah!
What was that?
It's a falcon.
Oh my God, a disabled falcon on the show. Oh my God, or should I say a falcon with additional needs? I'm not too sure. But either way, no, we love Archie, and I kind of agree with what they said after the match. He did pick up the tempo. He did put his own
come on earlier. I like to see him getting 20 minutes instead of 10.
I'd like to see him getting 30. Obviously, it depends on the balance of the game, and quite frankly, if we're fast forwarding a little bit further in time, if we go, what's it now? It's the 16th right now when we're recording this. People have seen on the 17th. If we fast forward to, let's say, well, I got to make sure this date is right. Monday the 23rd. I'm hoping I'm saying this Monday the 23rd. I'm looking at starting Archie in our next game against the Dragons at home. That's my target for him. I think, a couple games off the bench. I think match fitness there, as long as he has a good run out. In this little minor clash we got coming up, then I'd like to see Archie starting on New Year's Day.
But don't listen to what we have to say about Archie. Listen to what Archie has to say about Archie, because we've got a interview with him on the channel now. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it in audio format. It's gone down a treat. It's one of the most popular interviews that we've done so far. It was a treat for me to be able to speak to him, and it was really cool to get his to speak to him and see his enthusiasm for just rugby generally, and really getting going when I was asking him about what scrum halves he likes watching, and the impact that having Dwayne Peel and Gareth Davis around him at the Scarlets is having and things, and coming through playing for Llandovery College and stuff like that. So I don't know, Mart, one of our most fun guests that we've had on the channel.
Yeah, by far. I loved that interview. I was absolutely gutted I couldn't get on for it. But yeah, Archie's awesome. I'd love to talk to him again, in the future. Every time I've seen Archie beforehand, in like the Meet the Players or whatever he is, he's always come across as quite a shy, quite a well-held young man. But he sort of embraced. He was like really relaxed. I think his arm went back at one point, and he was like just like talking with the lads. He's like, yeah, I like Dupont. I like Conor Murray. I was great playing against him. I really liked that. Brilliant interview. If you haven't seen it already, go have a listen again. And someone who does have Lions potential, and that's not just from me. That's from a lot of people. This boy could be a star. Like I said, him again. He's only 21. I want to say he's 21 years old. Let me just.
He was playing for the under-20s not long
Yeah,
ago in the Six Nations last year.
He's 21 years old. I'll get his actual birthday up now if I'm not too cheeky. Oh, his birthday's in February. Valentine's Day. Oh, so sweet. So yeah, he's 22 in a couple of months' time. So realistically, he should be playing in the Welsh Academicals under-23s matches during January. But obviously he's pushing to be a starting scrum half at the Scarlets. He's not going to be involved in those games. He's going to be in Europe winning our battles. But yeah, I love Archie. I love everything about him. And, coming through a club like Tenby, there's a few boys, in the system from Tenby right now. Love Tenby. It's a brilliant place. I had my honeymoon in Tenby, if anyone didn't already know. Beautiful place. Yeah, love Tenby, love Archie. Let's get some more.
Yeah. All right. Is it time for the good bit now?
Is it time for the good bit? Is it time for the good bit? Okay, I just want to have this little check before I share my screen. Fixtures and results are on. Let's get back over. Sorry for the I'm just, trying to make the time pass a little bit easier for you guys. And there we go. Okay. So, all the fixtures you can see on our screen. It was Cup week for the second week in a row because of a silly storm that cancelled things out. And here we go. So we start in the SRC Super Rugby Cymru as always. And Quins at home to Aberavon. Really expected the Quins to come out on top in this one, but 24-17 against a real resurgent Aberavon. In that section of the SRC, 6th to 9th, there is very little between everybody. So, boys, we had involved in this match in the starting 15. We had, Big Ben Williams bagging 2 tries. We will not talk about
Absolutely
the first one.
Did not drop one. I don't know what you're talking about.
Did not drop anything. And then from numbers 20 through to 23, we had them all. Keanu Evans, Rodri Lewis, Ellis Price, and Gabriel McDonald. So, few boys on show were there for us.
Hasn't Gabriel McDonald been playing for the Drovers? Oh, I got that mixed up. I thought he played for the Drovers this season.
Yeah, you're thinking of George McDonald, who's a scrum half. He played in our development game. He also plays for Cardiff Uni, George McDonald. He's a good young 9. He's not attached to anyone. So it was great for us to really be having a look at him. And who knows where he goes from there. Okay. On to the Drovers. Time for revenge against RGC from the first game of the season. And they just about done it. And I have to say just about, because it really was a tight clash. 31-23 in the end. For the boys we had involved, we had Morgan Jones and Ed Scragg in the row, and we had Jack Davis. Oh, my mind's gone blank. I believe he was on the wing. I'd have to check my other spreadsheets to see this. But yeah, those 3 boys all started. So, great to see. We're coming into the Christmas double headers now. So this coming Saturday, Carmarthen Quins are travelling to Llandovery, and then we will see the reverse fixture a week later at Carmarthen Park. Now, I've openly said this to the clubs. Why not move that 28th of December game to Boxing Day? We don't have a Boxing Day fixture. It's an opportunity, for me to maybe bring in a few extra people into the ground, especially being in Carmarthen. It's not that great of a distance from Llanelli as Llandovery is. So I think that's an opportunity there for those clubs to really look at. Okay.
It would be cool. It would be cool if they moved that to the park or something. That would be...
Oh, moving to the park might be a bit too much, but, Carmarthen Park is, it's easily accessible. The A48 is there for a reason. Let's use it.
I'd just like to see them try it one time. I'm just interested to see how that would go. That's all. I'm just curious.
At the park?
Yeah.
I think if we'd done it as a joint thing, then I think that could be absolutely amazing. But yeah, we'll that's a conversation for another day now, really. Yeah. Okay. Into the greatest part of Welsh rugby, the proper community game. No money exchanges hands officially. Championship Cup quarterfinal, Llanelli Wanderers absolutely walked over Kenfigil 72-17. They're in the semis. Upper Wands, come on, boys. Division 1 Cup, all these divisional cups now are around the 16s. So Aberystwyth going down 18-21 at home to Hendy. Well done to Hendy, for this win. But, I actually expected Aberystwyth to pull this one out being at home. Tenby going down 24-19 away to Bridgend Athletic. Really gutted with that one. Tenby having a great season, as we all know. So just Hendy left in the quarterfinal round of this one for us. Division 2 Cup, Brython just losing out 16-23 at home to Caerphilly. Lampeter 38-36 losers away to Cardiff Quins. And that score is absolutely incorrect. I am going to edit that right now.
I was looking at that thinking, Jesus.
No, that's incorrect.
Oh, well, that's considerably less of a talking
point. Yeah, Carmarthen Athletic going down 6-12 at home against Abercrib in a triless game. So that means the Division 2 Cup doesn't matter anymore. We can throw that in the bin. Who cares about it? Blah, blah, blah. We didn't care about it. Division 3 Cup, Llangadog winning 25-7 at home against Pontyberem. Cardigan awarded the walkover over Newtown, which is a bit of a disappointment at this stage of the Cup. And then to Croyce winning 25-19 at home to Aberaeron. So Llangadog, Cardigan and to Croyce carrying that flag into the quarters. 3 of the 8 keep it going. Division 4 Cup, Newcastle Emlyn Dreigiau going down 15-26 at home to Neyland. Llandibby losing 20 points to 8 away to Llanelith. Pontyclean beating Narberth Athletic 26-19 and Crymych Tyrw going down 31-17 away to Tylerstown. The other game here, which is Ferndale at home to Trimsaran, it was abandoned in the 73rd minute, if I'm remembering correctly, at 10-0 down. At Ferndale winning 10-0, I should actually clarify that. Don't know the cup rules. I believe in the league, if it's after 64 minutes, the result will stand. So unsure what's going on with that one. Regardless, Neyland is still involved, so we will keep cheering them on through it to the quarterfinals. Okay, into the leagues, unless you have anything extra to add, Mr. Griffin.
No,
he's gone.
No, I'm still
there. He's still there. I thought he disappeared. Oh, he's waiting for New Doc. Oh, what's he doing like? Okay, did they actually play? I need to double check this. Yeah, they did play. Here we go. Okay, in the Premiership, Narberth 30-24 losers away to Cross Keys. Not a great season for Narberth, but they seem to be slowly on an upward curve. Newcastle Emlyn going down 38 points to 0 against Pontypridd. Again, we have to reiterate that Merthyr, Pontypridd, and Neath really are steps and leagues above everyone else in this league. I believe it was only 14-0 at half time, so Newcastle Emlyn were well in it. One of the boys involved was Scarlets Academy member Ellis Payne, who was playing at fullback. And then we got Llangennech losing 26-10 away to Astrad Rhondda. We have Scarlets Academy wing Callum Woolley turning out in this one. Fixtures for this week: lovely derby, Narberth at home to Newcastle Emlyn. That's the bottom two of the table, which pains me to say. And Llangennech with the lucky bye. Championship West, we had Ammanford winning 38 points to 11 away to Gasainon. And 2 tries come courtesy of Tian Sparrow, the only back row with a blue scrum cap anyone really cares about. So, great to see him, getting some more game time. And, I'm hoping to see him probably in the SRC Cup, end of January through February and March. I'm really excited to see this kid, really take that step up in men's rugby. Crymych going down 42-5 away to Tata Steel. Tata are resurgent this season, so I know it's a loss for Crymych, but seeing Tata win after years of being battered is just nice. It's great on the eye. It's great on the ear as well. Fixtures for this week: we got Ammanford at home to Fletchley Wanderers, and Crymych receiving the bye. Now, every other fixture we're going to talk about are all results. There are no fixtures between now and the 4th of January for the divisional leagues. So in One West, Barryport won 24-31 away to Ponta Delice, and St. Clair's won 20 points to 19 against One Island. Division 2 West, Fishguard 29-13 winners at home against Milford, and Larne winning 41-12 at home to Whitland. Lucker with the bye. But who wants to play Lucker anyway, really? Come on, give them a bye every week for the sake of it. Division 3 West, Llandilo 32-13 winners at home to United. Haverfordwest just falling short 31-28 away to Tumble. 4 West A in the all Pembroke derby. Pembroke won 29-28 against Pembroke Dock Harlequins. Such a nail biter. You couldn't.
Yeah, so there'll be people not happy about that. So there'll be people crying foul. What's gone on there?
Nobody knows. That's the thing. The boys playing in the match don't know. The ref doesn't know. The spectators don't know. Even Lee G doesn't know, and he probably watched from his back garden. It's just one of them things. St. David's got a bye in this round. Then we go into 4 West B. Binya 39-5 loss away to Fall Bay. Pennebank winning 19-3 at home to Pantavannan. Furness lost 17-8 away to some team that I'm not too sure about. How do you know who they are?
Sorry, I'm looking at another screen. Bear with.
Oh my God, what is he doing?
Which
New
one?
Dot
What?
Stars.
Oh,
Come on.
Yeah. Oh, only 17-8. Don't get out of bed for less than 30 points, personally.
Oh, well, we're going to have to arrange for you to go on a trip down. It is literally a stone's throw from the park. So, you'll be happy with that. So it was Youth Cup week, National Cups now, not local cups. They will be coming very soon. So all round 2 is WRU Cup, Carmarthen Quins 10-0 winners away to Carnarvon. Lampeter 20-42 losers at home to Am United. And Llandilo continuing on the path to retain their crown, 31-11 winners away to Morriston. Into the plate, Carmarthen Athletic going down 8-17 at home to St. Peter's. Crymych 2015 winners at home against Valley Ravens, and Haverfordwest making the long trip up to Wrexham and coming home 52 points to 5 winners.
Oof.
That's
boys.
that trip was well worth it. There's no other words you can say for that. Aberystwyth then 27-7 winners at home to Fishguard in the bowl, and then finally in the Shield, Vellinvall 27-15 winners at home to Furness, and Tumble with a 39-15 away victory over Llangam. That is it for the community side of things. So I'm going to stop sharing, but there is my screen all nice and gone.
Yes.
The other things we get to talk about in this section, academy, age grade, they sort of merge into one. So all the boys are now training again for Wales under-20s with the upcoming Six Nations. And we had a little tete-a-tete against Scotland at Ystrad Mynach this past Friday. We ran out 31-7 winners. Of course we did. We're Wales. There's nothing wrong with the age grade. What are you talking about? We had quite a few boys involved. So the only boy we had actually starting was Dylan Alford from RGC. Bethesda boy, we've spoken about him previously. He's only just getting his, first games back for RGC, but he really looked apart. I've got a lot of positives about his performance, so that's brilliant to see. Other boys we had involved, Jack Pritchard, the tight dead prop, currently playing his rugby at Cardiff Met Uni. Ollie Claus played a lot of rugby for Ammanford last year, also playing for Cardiff Uni. Stefan Jack Jones, I want to say he's Swansea University, but that might have failed me. And he's turned out a few times for the Drovers. And then another 10B product, Yori Badam, who has been on fire for the Quins. Not so much scoring tries, but his performances are, well up there. For the first year, senior rugby, he's really knocking it out the park. I believe there is a return fixture this week coming up in Scotland. So, it'll be great to see how that goes. Another player that was involved in our junior academy, Sam Potter. He's turned out for the Drovers. He's a really, really good player. And, played that game. I think he was on the bench. He weren't officially named anyway, but there's photos of him, which is really, really strange. It's typical of the WRU, not just to misspell players on the team sheet, but to completely omit them. And yeah, so he played in that Wales 20s game on the Friday, and then he turned out for Ammanford on the Saturday, slotting a few conversions after Mr. T and Sparrow. So yeah, there's a lot of talent that's come through our junior academy into our senior academy, and even a lot of boys who are first, second, third year senior rugby. They're still in and amongst the Premiership, Championship level, and they're doing well. There's a lot of talk about late bloomers in rugby, and I know somebody has talked about, let's get all the biggest 15-year-olds and just fast track them. Genetics don't quite work that way. Just because you're big as a 15-year-old doesn't mean you're going to continue to get bigger.
I was not big as a 15-year-old. I was quite tall as a 17-year-old.
Exactly. We use Eddie James as a perfect example of that. He apparently was very, very short, as a 15, 16-year-old. By the time he hit 18, he was the 6'4" that he is now. Same can be said of Ben Williams. I don't know if it was a genetic thing, a height thing with him, but he missed out on, regional A grade. I think he might have missed out on Dewar as well. And he's now a professional rugby player, and he's an amazing player. And, the fact that he's not involved is really quite baffling to me. And I can say the same for Carwyn Tuapolotu. Those are two brilliant players we've got in our back row pools that are not even making our squad, which just shows the depth that we've garnered. But yeah, there's a hell of a lot of good players, in the Scarlets region. And quite frankly, I think if we had the resources, we could probably put out another full set, a second senior academy. That's just how many good players there are in that age range right now that we have. I'm just, really gutted that, we're not able to do it. One player that did turn out in this under-20s match that I believe is unattached, another RGC player, Kelt Francis Roberts, wearing the number 30 jersey according to the WRU site, but as we all know, we can't trust anyone. I'd like to know if we're in talks with them. Obviously, RGC are not attached to any region, but if they were, they come into us. So I'd like to know if there's conversations with this boy. We missed out on Conquer last year, but I know he's Ebu Vale based, so obviously Dragons was for him. But yeah, if there's an RGC boy in that 20 squad, honest to God, I'm going to be ringing up Scott Seddon and look, you missed out on one last year. He's in our catchment. Please bring him home. No, but yeah, that brings to close all my academy talk. There's going to be more of it in the coming future because the regional age grade championships are about to kick off, only a few weeks away. I can't wait for all that to start. That's it, Huw. Why are you just chewing a pen for, bud?
Because you've missed the most important thing.
What's the most important thing?
The most important one, the biggest news, the biggest thing. The whole the raison d'etre, the best rugby competition in the whole world, is back.
Oh. The best rugby competition in the world is back. I can have a drink for this. I really got to prep myself. I've wrote myself a script and everything. So
The Thunder are back.
Brython Thunder. Ooh, look at this. This is a side stacked, and I mean absolutely stacked.
It's not
There's
quite as stacked as Gwalior. They're a bit more stacked.
shut up, who they don't know that. Yeah, just so everybody knows, all the games are apparently going to be live through BBC iPlayer, possibly YouTube as well.
The
I'm not quite sure
game
on that one.
this Saturday, so ahead of the Scarlets game, this game is on first at 2:30. Brython Thunder against Gwalior Lightning. For those of you who are new to Brython Thunder and the Celtic Challenge, they're
What?
the elite women's teams in Wales. And Gwalior Lightning are unofficially Cardiff, although they're not playing in Cardiff anymore. They're playing down in Ushard
For the
They were,
Dragons.
they were playing, yeah, the Dragons now. Brython Thunder play all their games from the park. And they had Al Cal playing for them last year, who's obviously a Scarlets girl. And they're unofficially Scarlets women, is how I'm choosing to interpret this. They play in red and play their games in Llanelli. Sounds like Scarlets women to me.
All I'm going to say is I really, really want to see some improvements from last season. And by that, I mean for the competition as a whole. I don't want to see these colorblind, kit clashes. That should be a first to get rid of. And I want to see kits on sale to the public. I want to buy I said this last year at the time. I've got 4 girls. The eldest has played rugby. Never really got into it. But my 2 middle girls right now, the one that had her birthday party yesterday, during Black Lion. She turned 7 on the 17th, which I believe would be the day you guys start listening to this. And the other one is 8, turning 9 in May. They love rugby. They absolutely love it. They started in Stradi Sosbands. They love everything about the game, and to see these players now. I know she's not involved with Brython, but she is involved with Gwalior. Maisie Davis is someone that they used to see on a regular basis because everyone would train on the same night, don't they? They go over Hagab. Oh, it's just brilliant. These women's hubs, these girls hubs are amazing, and how they involve everyone together is massive. From the under 7s all the way up to the under 18s, and if they're lucky enough to have a senior team, then even them as well. They all sort of train together. Sometimes they move around different times, but you'll all catch each other. You'll all say hi, hello, whatever. It's a brilliant environment to be a part of, and women's rugby is the way forward for me. Now, first game, Astrid Manach, Gwalior Lightning. Looking at this squad, I think we got more than enough to take them. I really do. We are absolutely filled to the rafters with under 18 and under 20 internationals, from this past season.
So the two names that probably jump out would be Natalia John and Meg Webb. They're the kind of the famous ones. They're the ones with the most Wales senior caps. But who are some of the other names that are jumping out to you from this team sheet?
Okay, for me, I'm going to the under 20s and last year's, and actually, I think she was Scarlets 18 still last year, is back 3 pairing Ffion Davis and Rhiannon Griffin. Rhiannon Griffin playing 10 and 15. Ffion Davis primarily a winger. Those girls are just amazing to watch. They're amazing to see play. And, Amy Williams was outstanding last year, same as Eleanor Hing. Our back 3 section is, absolutely outstanding. And even when you look at the options down at Gwalior, if back 3 is an issue for Wales, then it's not the player's fault. I'm just going to say that out right now. Back 3 options are unbelievable. I'm expecting, I think Rhiannon Griffin will probably be the first one to really push her name forward, in this back section. Ellie Tromans, she was, a really good addition. Obviously, it was the first year last year, but she turned out really well. If we go into the front now, and I brought this up to you because I was a little bit confused. So last season, Brython had a Lowry Williams, playing on the wing. this year there's no Lowry Williams in the backs, but there's a Lowry Williams named in the forwards in the front row section of the list. So I'm believing that that's the Lowry Williams that turned out for Gwalia last year, and I'm assuming the other one is injured, unfortunately. And then we've got Danae Mugabe. I believe that's how you say your name. You know, she was turning out in the backs last year, but she's now turning out in the forwards. So the little things that I'm getting a bit miffed on, something that I think would go a massive long way, is what I've said earlier about having the clubs listed next to the names. Positions would be brilliant, because unless you've been following these girls for a good few years, you're not going to know. If I'm going to talk about names that are going to stand out, I think Robin Davis and Jess Rogers as forwards. Watching them in the under-20s quite recently, they were some standouts to me. So I'm very positive about this Brython squad going forward. I just want the comms to be a bit more up to scratch, and I want the jerseys on sale. I would buy a pair of these jerseys for my girls. There's no doubt about that. Like this, I'm wearing the Scarlets current away kit. This is the first kit that I've actually bought brand new ever. I've never bought a brand new kit before, because that's how much I just like this kit. But for my girls, if a Brython kit comes out, I'm buying it like that. Like
Yeah. For people who want to watch the games, like Mark said, it'll be on iPlayer, the first one. If they're ever not on iPlayer, they'll be on Rugby Pass TV. It's a 10 rounds. Yeah, 10 rounds, a full round robin. So there's 2 Welsh teams, there's 2 Scottish teams, there's 2 Irish teams, and they all play each other twice. It's a full league this season. So it's still a new product. Still finding its feet as a competition, but we're excited. And as far as we're concerned, Thunder is our team, so we're going to talk about them a lot on the pod.
Yes, we will. We will be. We probably won't be going as in detail as we do for the Scarlets, but we will be talking about them because we love them. And they are the unofficial Scarlets ladies until a Scarlets ladies pop up again. Now, do I talk about the other competition?
What's the other competition?
The lucky giveaway.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, so if anybody watched the pod, listen to the pod, whatever you do last week, you will know we had a lovely ticket giveaway for Black Lion, and congratulations to those 2 winners who had a great day out. Now, this week, we have another giveaway, but this time for the New Year's Day match against the Dragons. So, I'm getting ready for this. Are you ready, Huw?
I was born ready.
He was born ready. Okay. We are excited to offer you the chance to win 2 tickets to Scarlets v Dragons New Year's Day Derby Massacre. Yes, I'm calling it a massacre. I'm predicting the future. We have partnered with the Scarlets to give 2 lucky listeners the perfect start to your new year. All you need to do is like, subscribe, and comment your score prediction on our YouTube page to be in with a chance. Entries are open until 10 p.m. on the 23rd of December. Paul Block. That's it. That's all it is. So we play the Dragons on New Year's Day. I want to pack the park. I want to see, full stands everywhere. It's New Year's Day. It's a bank holiday. Let's do it. I'm not even worried about this weekend. That's a foregone conclusion as far as I'm concerned. The game I'm focusing on is the Dragons, is New Year's Day. I really hope that we promote the shit out of this game, and we get as many bodies in there. I don't care if we go to every single, all 50 plus clubs in the region and go, look, you got any minis and juniors, any youth players? Yeah, here's a ticket. Come watch us New Year's Day. Let's do it. Let's get the full 15,000 in the park. Let's really show what an amazing atmosphere we can give down in West Wales. Now I've said all that, we do kind of have to focus on what's coming up next. So, why don't you tell us what's coming up next, my friend?
We have a game against, well, I'll tell you because we've had a letter.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
No, no. Oh.
it's from Jack from Lucker.
It's from Jack. It's not from his captors.
Well, we'll find out. It's all contained within Mart. Dear
Oh,
Saucepans and Dear Saucepans and Sidesteps, I have managed to pay my own ransom by setting up a website charging people €15 a week to watch Challenge Cup games that no one wanted to put on TV.
that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That is probably make a bit of money that one. I hear you're passing through my neck of the woods next week. Be careful. Watch out for trolls as you cross over the bridge.
All I got to say is take EM4.
Well,
It's easy solution.
well, I will say that from my point of view, the trolls that we're normally coming up against as part of Sosband and Sidesteps, they've been quite quiet last few weeks. That's all I'll
Yeah,
say.
I wonder why. I
Yeah,
really do wonder why. Is this something to do with because we're a really good team right now?
last season there's trolls everywhere. This season, very rarely
Eh,
see them.
I do see one here or there. I do see a lot of envious people. But as for trolls, I think they're all still under that bridge. I think they're waiting to emerge in the dark. But the dark is not going to come. The light is scarlet, and it is going to be shining down all day Saturday. Foregone conclusion. No point talking about this match. It's an easy win. It's always going to be an easy win in this one.
I don't really want to speak on it because I'm always nervous about Scarlets games. All I will say is that our opposition are having a tough season. They had a tough result last week. And they might have loads of injuries. They might not. We don't know. They always say they have loads of injuries, and then they always seem to be healed again, and we don't know. So we'll find out when the team is named. I think
Yeah,
they've got Dan Edwards back. I think he's by far their best 10, so that helps them. But we'll see. Obviously, the thing
yeah.
that they built their game around last season was their pack, and I think our pack have got enough to stand up to them this
Enough to
season.
stand up. Come
They're
on.
they're really been struggling so far this season statistically at scrum time. They've been struggling with their driving mauls, and they've been struggling to win turnovers, which is where a lot of their tries came from last season as well. So they've been struggling, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, I do have worries about certain aspects when it comes to these derbies, and the main one, which tends to be the one for every game against the Ospreys and Dragons, is us getting dragged down to their level. You know, us getting dragged into the style of game they want to play, not the one we do. If we that is the one major battle that I'm concerned with, and if we come out on top of that, if we can play the way we want to, then I there's not that many dangers that I am quite concerned of looking at what they're doing this season. Like you said, Dan Edwards is by far their best 10, but he's very, very creaky defensively. I mean, I
And he
think
also likes to kick a drop goal when they're 3 scores down,
yeah, let's not
which was weird.
it might be weird, but the boy's got his own tally to look after. You when you're a young kid and you're in a team that's losing, you know, show your worth, show what you can do. So
I do like him. He's a good player. He's a good player. And obviously,
he is a good
we're,
player.
we're familiar with a lot of their team, let's be honest. We know
Yeah,
them quite well.
yeah,
So,
like we kind of went down it. Like I said, his defense is creaky, but his attacking game is really good. I'll be honest, if he can sort out that defensive side, if he can show some more capabilities, I wouldn't be against him. Getting involved with the Wales squad, even if he got involved with the Wales squad to try and up his defensive capabilities. I think that's the one thing holding him back at the minute. But he's a really good player. I like him. But yeah, less said about me liking Ospreys players, the better, isn't it? So usually when we come into this game, we talk about how their scrum and line out are very, very dominant, and ours are meh. But it's obviously quite the reverse this
well,
season.
let's not speak. A picture speaks a thousand words. Let's just let the URC official stats website tell the story for us, shall we? So
Again, stats.
let's just go down it, right, Mark? We're a factual, highbrow analysis podcast, okay? So
Okay.
attack, right?
Highbrow.
So we're ranked 13th in the league for attack. Don't know how these rankings have come to, but there we are.
Okay, let's have a little look at these. So what way are they, you know, is 16th the most, the least? Which
It
you don't really do.
depends. I think the higher the number is, the higher the ranking is. So yeah, so we're 13th basically. The Ospreys, if we just scroll down, if we just scroll down, if we just scroll down, last for attack in the
Okay.
league.
Can we just try and compare these a sec? I just want to. So 128 points, 151, 40, offload 37, 132 defended, 110, but 230 meters, 2 tries difference, clean breaks, go down a bit more. They've got more. The stats aren't that much different. If we're totally honest, going forward in attack, it
Yeah.
just seems that our defense is our point of difference this year, which I think is what we're about to
Well, let's
see.
go to the defense. Oh, look at that. Ranked number one in the league. Defense would be the Scarlets. With the fifth most tackles made, the eighth most tackles missed, but when you make lots of tackles, you're going to miss more. First for turnovers won, second for tackle success, and very low down for turnovers lost. We don't lose a lot of turnovers. Let's see where the opposition are, down in 10th.
Not
Uh,
bad.
they're still fourth for tackle success, and ninth for turnovers lost.
Yeah. So tackle success is only 1% between them. Turnovers lost. Again, not great difference. Turnovers won is massive, and tackles made. I think there needs to be a percentage for this, so they're missing about 10%. Yeah. There doesn't seem to be a great deal of difference between
No,
teams.
let's keep going down. Let's keep going down. So
I want to be as impartial as I can.
where are we now? Kicking. We're
Again,
a serious analysis show, Mark. Kicking. So we're ranked 10th for kicks. So we've got the most penalties
really,
scored. Um, we got the fifth most kick meters. We got the third most kicks from hands. Uh, Ospreys are down in 15th. They love a drop goal. Fair play to them. Not so many penalties kicked, not so many kick meters, not so many kicks from hand. So they're not kicking. They don't kick as much as us. Basically, is the long and the short of it.
discipline.
Where discipline. Now we're not going to be very high on this. Let's be honest. Yeah, Scarlet's down in 15th. Discipline is our issue. No red cards this season. No red cards
So far.
so far. 7 yellow cards in 8
Scrum
games.
offenses, that is crap. That's wrong.
Yeah, I don't think we've had 15 scrum offenses. That's a bit wrong. Um, Yellow cards. Ospreys have had 2 yellow cards. That's not particularly interesting stat, to be honest. Line outs. Scarlet's ranked third for line outs, so we've got the third best line out success. Second fewest line outs lost. And eighth for line outs won. Ospreys.
6 line-out steals. Are we sure about that? Because I'm sure we've had multiple in almost every match.
Ospreys, lineouts won, most lineout success with 92%. So their lineout is going well. Not very high on lineout steals. They don't like a lineout steal. They've only stolen 2 all season, according to this. Scrums, Scarlet's ranked number 1 in the URC for scrums. So we've got the most scrums won with 50, and we've got the best scrum percentage with 98 on our own put in, according to the URC stats. If I scroll down, Ospreys ranked 16th in the URC. Now that is a surprise. You have to say that's not very heritagey, is it?
Yeah, I mean, you look at their pack and their front row. I mean, Stefan Thomas, from us was a really good acquisition.
Yeah.
So I'm quite surprised to see that. I mean, again, 85%. That's quite low. You want to be, the mid 90s is your
Well,
target.
the one that jumps out to me, scrum penalty. But this is how the Ospreys won their games last season, was through their scrum. 4 scrum penalties won all season, according to this, is amazingly low. How many have we won? We've won 10. We're the Scarlets. And the one that blows my mind is 29 scrums won all season for the Ospreys. That's like how many a game? How
Four,
many rounds have we had? 4
four,
a
just over
game.
four, barely. like
Barely 4 a
4 points, I
game.
think.
That's not how they play. So that probably explains kind of why they're having a struggle this season. So,
Don't
you
have
know,
the base, you know.
the stats are kind of on our side. Let's be honest. The form says that you know we're arguably the favourites.
Yeah, I'm comfortable being given that tag as favourite. I think the boys will be comfortable with it as well, knowing no, looking at what we've seen, the buy-in that we've really had this year from everyone in this club, it seems to be, next level sort of thing. Everyone is with each other, which is obviously great. Um, I do think that their defense is. I know we've looked at those stats, and I'm trying to be impartial. I said there's not a great deal of difference, but those are the fine margins that we talk about in elite rugby. But I do think their defense is somewhere that we can really target, especially that 9, 10, 12 channel. And having big people, like I say, big people, hard runners. Then like Johnny Williams, like Eddie James, Josh McLeod, via Fifita. I know we've used him a lot on the wing, but we can put these boys in that channel just to rub it up, just to break it down a little bit.
Yeah,
Same as
I was just going to say the thing that they really hurt us with last year and this fixture last year was Kieran Williams. Now he didn't play in the last game. I don't know what his fitness status is. But if they're playing Owen Williams at 12, that's obviously a massive fundamental shift for them because Kieran Williams is crash ball, Owen Williams is a 10. So that's obviously a massive tactical change for them. So that'll be interesting. So I don't really know what to expect from their selection, I'll be honest.
yeah. I mean, we try not to be too bothered by what they do or what their selection until this week of the season. But yeah, I'm not as concerned as I normally am. Like, even if we go back a few years where we had a 44-0 or whatever it was, even before that game, I had my qualms. I was like, oh, they can still hurt us here, hurt us there. I'm not getting that feeling this time round. But like I've already said, the Ospreys and Dragons in particular have an ability to take us away from our game plan like no other team can. So that is our main target. Keep those rucks under 3 seconds, keep moving that ball, and just focus on doing what we do best. That's
Focus on
all we can
ourselves.
really do. Yeah, I don't see. Obviously, we're going to do our analysis. We're going to look at them. We're going to look at areas to attack, but I don't see too much in point in really focusing on them. It should be more, let's look at ourselves. Let's keep improving on ourselves. We know what we're doing well. Minor tweaks. Let's change this set play here. Let's change how we do this here. Minor things. But
Dwayne has said that
yeah,
he said in his post match about Black Line, he said he's been thinking about this game already for over a week. So he's been ruminating on it. Um,
yeah. By
so you'd like to think he's got a couple of plays up his sleeve.
Yeah, for me, and by that I mean I think he's planning this block. You know, I think Black Lion is more important than the Ospreys. In the context of the last 18 months, Black Lion was the more important game for me,
Hmm.
100%.
I can see that.
Um, we've got that over with. This this is a game that can go either way. We can be top of the league. We can be putting 50, 60 points on teams. They could be bottom of the league, getting 50, 60 points shifted onto them, come into this match, and they could put 20, 30 on us. This is what derbies do mentally to teams, which is a massive battle, which is what we need to overcome. So yeah, that's our challenge ourselves. I think he's put out his team this week to really build on for next week. We had that little break for Bayonne. We gave a few fringe players the opportunity. Like Bayonne was a semi-rotated team. We do have to remember that, and we still almost got over the line against a team that's undefeated at home. I'm really proud of that result. I'm still disappointed, but I'm really proud of what the boys did out in Bayonne.
Hmm.
So going back to more or less full strength in this one, and then into real full strength for the Ospreys is the way it goes. So let's talk selection. Personally, from Peel, I don't think we're going to see many changes. I think Blair Murray is probably the only one if he's fit. So, yeah, what about you? What would you like to see in this game?
I'd like to see. I wouldn't mind seeing Archie start. I think what I would particularly like to see is if it is the case that the Ospreys are struggling with availability of players, then you would like to think that we'd have an advantage on the bench. So
Yes.
I would love to see us stack the bench. I would love on 58 minutes that they turn around and they see running onto the pitch Alex Craig, Ryan Elias, Ver Fifita, Johnny Williams all coming onto the pitch at the same time on 58-ish minutes, and then thinking, for God's sake, seriously, Yohan Lloyd, I should throw into that as well. That for me is what I'd like to see. I'd like to see us stack that bench.
Yeah, I'm with you. But you put Fifita on the bench, would you?
Uh, either or, either him or Plumtree.
Yeah.
I don't mind which. I think because he's there for Fifita, I think there for Fifita has more of a psychological impact when he comes off on the bench.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. But I don't think he's a 58-minute man. I think he's more a 40 or 45-minute sort of player. And he comes on his own. He comes on as that man to really do it. Yeah, for me, yeah, a couple changes, like you said. Johnny on the bench. Johnny is amazing. He's in the form of his career. But as we've already said, Eddie James and Joe Roberts are not impact players. Johnny Williams can be, and he's a bolt. He really is a bolt up the arse of anyone against him. He comes on fresh for 20, 25 minutes to go, and he's going to knock down doors, tired doors, for fun again. That does mean James and Robert start for me. I do want to see Blair Murray come back in. A Blair Murray me with Rogers at fullback. That's my ideal. I really do think we need to start putting Tom at fullback as often as we can now. I see that as his future going forward. I know we just talk about me at fullback, but I think the progression is Rogers first.
Yeah.
See how that goes. Happy with the halfbacks. I think Archie coming off the bench is alongside Huw and Lloyd is a bolt as well. I do think they are the tempo men. Both of them can really push the tempo to another level.
Mhm.
Back row, yeah, one of Plumtree or Fifita has got a drop, unfortunately, just to have that emphasis coming off. Now you've said it, I think I am swinging more to Fifita on the bench. That does sound really, really tasty. Craig,
Does
Fifita,
that mean
Archie.
Dan Davis comes back in?
No, I'm happy to stick Jared Taylor into the 6 or the 8 shirt, whatever you fancy him as. He's a workhorse, and we've said about balance in that back row, and we didn't see Tane have an overly amazing game. We only see Fifita as a great game as a baseline. But he has an awesome game when his 6 and 7 are doing a different job. We've talked about this balance. I think Jared Taylor and Josh McLeod are better suited to free up Tane Plumtree than McLeod and Dan Davis. Although Dan Davis can do the job, there's nothing there. Same as Karen Tuapoloto and Ben Williams. I think we are spoiled
Mhm.
at back row at the minute.
Would
Lock.
you, yeah, so at lock, I said Alex Craig off the bench. I'm now thinking, oh, maybe Sam Lousy off the bench.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. You could put any one of the three off the bench, really. I think Douglas probably causes the most damage off the bench because of
Do
the
you think?
physicality side of it.
I
I
think
think
Lousy is the most. I think Lousy changes it up the most. He's the most different from the other two.
yes, he is. He is the more athletic. He is the more bouncy around type of second row that
Yeah,
we seem to thrive off down here. Yeah, I mean Craig is just no nonsense. He just gets through his work and does it. I think Max Douglas offers. He's more of an enforcer than Alex Craig is. So
yeah.
I'd probably go Max Douglas, just again for that physicality side of it, and then front row really picks itself. It's going to be Matthias Marnus and Henry Thomas. That seems to be absolutely solid. Hopeful for Ryan Elias. Really am. I don't believe he was put as injured in the team selection, although I will have to double check that. Loose head is a toss up for me. I'd be happy with Sam O'Connor there. Alec Hepburn as
It
well.
will be Alec Hepburn though.
It will be Alec Hepburn, but I wouldn't be opposed to Sam O'Connor being in there. Yeah, and then obviously Archer Holtz is going to be out tight head because our other two tight heads are injured. So that's just a testament to some of our depth. And if Ryan Elias is injured and he is unavailable, I want to see what Isaac Young can do. I want to see him now. I want to see this version of Isaac Young. I know he still is young in terms of a front rower, but he looks ready.
It'll be Sean Evans though.
It will be Sean Evans. I want to pick the team. I want to see. This is what we is. Okay, so we come into that point where we kind of have to do a bit of a score prediction. So are we going for actual scores or are we going for margins? What are we thinking?
I'll go Scarlets by 2. What? What? It's an away win.
Shaking my head in defiance, in disgust. Oh my God, Scarlets by 2. Yeah, I mean, how can I work this out? No, we're never going to lead by 2. We're never going to lead, by less than 5 after that first, after we cross our line for the first time. Yeah, I think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be as comfortable as Black Lion, but I'll go Scarlets by 12. I think we're gonna. I think it's going to be close, but I think we're going to we're going to stretch away in our last 10 minutes. Go on. Oh, I'll tell you this off air, but it's a good story about my daughter now. She's reading rugby games at the minute. I absolutely love it. But yeah, that brings us to a close for this week. Thank you everybody for listening. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, especially if you want 2 tickets to the Dragons game on New Year's Day, Parker Scarlets. I've called it a massacre because it's going to be a massacre. We're going to thrash them absolutely into the ground. They're going to forget about this Newcastle win in a flash. Don't you worry about that. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you for joining me, Mr. Huw Griffin. I'm glad that you have aged back to your normal, approximately 30-year-old self. And we'll do it all again next week. Thank you, everyone. If you don't listen to us next week, have a brilliant Christmas. And if you're not here after that, which I sincerely doubt, Happy New Year. Who knows? Oh, is this Santa or is this old Huw?
It's old Huw because we've been talking for 2 hours.
Been talking for 2 hours. All right. Again, thank you everybody for listening. We'll catch you all next week. Bye, guys.
Cheerio.